we didn't want to create a top-heavy company. We wanted to create a company that where the values were aligned and the incentives were aligned. And so everybody's moving the same direction with the same goal. And so we put some things into place from the get-go to help ensure that. You want to jump into that?
Yeah, I would say that the belief behind what Charlie just said is that a single aligned system directs talent and energy in one direction. And that alignment fosters a connected and focused team. And that's important to have, whether you've got 2 people or 26 people.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow? You know the importance of team alignment. You know that it's important to have people rowing together with a complete buy-in toward the goals of the company. And you need to have team alignment if you want to grow your business fast. I study growth. You probably know this about me. This whole podcast, Grow Think Tank, is about the strategies for growth, and a lot of it comes down to leadership. Today, we're going to be talking with an amazing 2 individuals, 2 co-founders of a business. It's Case Energy Partners. They were number 78 on the Inc. 2018 list, and really amazing guys when you think about what they're doing inside of a kind of a traditional industry. They're really putting their people first. They're really bringing them in as owners, and they're having open transparencies of financials, but also in how they're moving forward. And there's some really interesting aspects that I'd love to share with you inside this interview with Blake Harris and Charlie Matter. I'm really excited about sharing this with you. Before we jump into it, let me remind you, if you have been tuning in to all of these episodes, I've organized the core principles of fast growth companies down to 12 core principles, down to 1 sheet of paper. And so you can get that at genehammett.com/worksheet, where you will find the core principles across all of these interviews here. I would direct you to some of the episodes that those are highlighted so you can go right to the episode that means the most to you and your business. Now, if you want to get that, just go to genehammett.com/worksheet. Now, here's the interview with Charlie and Blake. Hey guys, how are you?
Right, how are you doing?
Doing good.
I'm fantastic. I've already let our audience know a little bit about you, but it really is exciting to have you here at Growth Think Tank. Blake Harris and Charlie Matter, you guys are with Case Energy. Give me a little bit of context to the company that you guys are in.
Yeah, great question. So we're in the oil and gas business, and we acquire oil and gas properties, but primarily we are an outlet, we're a vehicle for mineral and royalty owners to quickly liquidate their portfolio. So if you're a mineral and royalty owner in the United States, you own minerals and you're getting, you have maybe a substantial amount of your net worth tied up into this very concentrated asset. We provide an outlet for them and so we effectively build our own mutual fund. So we buy a lot of different properties, put our eggs in a lot of different baskets, and we provide mineral owners, we're an outlet for them. And
Okay.
so we go in and evaluate, and we find properties that we want to buy. We value those properties and we make offers, or people come to us that want to sell these properties. And then we aggregate those and build a portfolio.
So I would imagine you're pretty good at determining what the value of a piece of land is.
We've got geologists and engineers that help us determine, okay, here's what the value over the lifetime of that asset is.
Your company's grown tremendously fast, number 78 on the Inc. 2018 list. Do you ever get that wrong?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, we do. Yeah, we're just.
Okay. I appreciate the honesty there. I imagine sometimes it goes really right.
Yeah, we've been pleasantly. I'll let Blake jump in there.
Yeah, I mean, it is where, you're predicting, in order to put the value on those minerals or that property, you're predicting how the well is going to perform. You're predicting when the well or wells are going to be drilled. And you're predicting what the price of oil and gas is going to be. And so we are wrong quite a bit. We're right quite a bit too. So it's important to cast a wide net and buy a lot of different properties. And because it is like, if you only buy one, like we do tell the mineral owners, if you only own one property and that well doesn't perform the way that you want it to, it could be a bad deal. So we are wrong, and we're fine with it. We plan for it. Just hope that we're right more than we're wrong.
Well, I know you've got a team behind you. As companies grow, they need to count on the people. About 26 employees, is that the right number?
That's right.
When you think about the key factors of growth of the business, a lot of it's external market and probably the opportunities in front of you, but a big part of it is how well the team works together. And you talked to me earlier about how important team alignment is. So why is that so important as you guys have scaled your business?
I'll answer that first and let Blake go. I think that, there's in the oil and gas industry, there's kind of two approaches. You obviously need to have the right personnel, the right people in the right seats. And we had to make a decision: are we going to get young, smart talent that's moldable, trainable, and flexible, or are we going to get more seasoned, older talent? And we went with the younger route. That's not to say there's not value in both or having a healthy blend. But in creating a company, we had to figure out a way to keep everybody's, we didn't want to create a top-heavy company. We wanted to create a company that where the values were aligned and the incentives were aligned. And so everybody is moving the same direction with the same goal. And so we put some things into place from the get-go to help ensure that. Do you want to jump into that?
Yeah, I would say that the belief behind what Charlie just said is that a single aligned system directs talent and energy in one direction. And that alignment fosters a connected and focused team. And that's important to have, whether you've got 2 people or 26 people. It gets everybody speaking the same language, playing by the same rules. It allows you to move quick, and alignment is one of the most important things. I'd say it's one of the main reasons for our success is having an aligned team. It's made life really easy.
Well, I would love to know like some of the specific strategies or principles that make that possible, because a lot of companies and leaders talk about team alignment, but what are you guys doing that makes it work?
I'll start and then let Blake go. And Blake, to give a little background on him, I mean, he's former military, so he was in the Marines, and so system and processes come natural to him. I tend to be more of a big picture, visionary type thinker. Blake's definitely keeps the trains on the tracks and puts the system into place. We started with how do you compensate people, and we said, okay, compensation is a big deal. It can be an elephant in the room. It can be, but there's creative ways to compensate people, and so we felt like giving people, what we would call an ownership in the company creates an alignment that you wouldn't otherwise have. And so we didn't want check collectors. We didn't want people clocking in and clocking out. We wanted people to feel like their thumbprint is on this company, and the better the company does, the better they're going to do. And so we wanted to align people in that regard, that the company is growing. It's a young, fast-growing company, and we want them to feel like they're a part of it just as much as anybody is. And so this isn't just Blake's company or my company or John's company. This is everybody's company, and everybody, as you get to work here, you are part of your incentive is an ownership in the company. And I say that in the sense that like we give profit share ownerships and we give commissions that are based on performance. And so we've created a compensation that, we've created transparency into how the company performs. And 2, that transparency allows people to see is the company performing poorly or is the company performing well? And they know that if the company performs well, they're going to be rewarded for that. So there's a direct financial benefit for them. I think the second alignment is, we implemented EOS a couple of years ago, and that stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System. And that's been instrumental for us having one playbook that we operate off of. And our core values, we do live and die by our core values, and they're kind of the heartbeat of the company. And so, I think that the compensation lets people feel this ownership and this, I would say, their desire to perform and do well is beyond. It's a bigger deal here that it helps hold people accountable, because if I don't do my function, they don't do their function, this thing doesn't work. And so I think everybody knows that, like, hey, if we all want to do really well for ourselves, number one, we've got to play by the playbook that we all believe in, and that, we've all got to pull our weight for this thing to work. You want to jump in?
Yeah. To add to that, you everything starts with a vision or an idea, but to make it a reality, you have to share that vision, and you have to build a comprehensive plan to implement that vision. And the tool that helped us implement that vision, which was originally Charlie's vision, was EOS. And it's really helped us articulate that vision to our team in a positive way. It's a system that's built on human nature and provides tools to make that vision a tangible thing for our team members. Charlie mentioned core values. Our core values are excellence, teamwork, resourcefulness, Kaizen, which, for those that aren't familiar with Kaizen, it's the idea of you're either winning or you're learning, initiative, and having fun. And those we believe that those go to the heart of human nature. Like-minded people work well together, and core values keep everyone aiming at the same North Star and going about getting there the same way. Another tool that EOS provides is measurables. It's a natural human tendency to measure things, right? You like, that's when you really think about it, people do it every day and don't even realize you're constantly measuring things. It's, like I said, it's a natural tendency. So the measurables are, Charlie touched on it, but every person in the company has a number. Everyone knows what that person has to do. Everyone in the company knows if anyone in the company is or isn't doing their job. Those measurables, they allow you to measure achievements, and people relate to those numbers. And like Charlie said, transparency. There is no, well, I wonder what he does. Is he just playing golf all day? Everyone knows from the top down what each person is supposed to be doing.
Let me slide in here for a second. When you have core values and they're important to your business, the last thing you want to do is put them on your walls and not think about them again. You actually want to make them a part of your day in and day out business. How you lead, how you make decisions. You went through the trouble or the process of putting together those values, but you should also operationalize them. That's part of the work I do with clients, really helping them make the most out of that process of values, so that people know how to make decisions when you're not in the room. And that teams can get together and form around these values, and they can really lead and move fast and really align all together. That's really important with core values. So make sure you operationalize them. Now back to the interview. Let me ask you a question on that. You mentioned everyone has one number. So is it actually one number that everyone's managing to?
No, or I guess the better way to say it was everyone has at least one number.
Okay. All right.
Some people have multiple numbers, but everyone has something that they know that they're aiming for.
And one more question on that. You mentioned transparency. It was part of the core aspects of creating financial or profit sharing. But you also mentioned that everyone knows what other people's numbers are. So they know how others are performing against their goals.
Yes.
Do I have that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. What value does that give you as a team?
I'll answer that, and then he can go. It's basically like anybody within the company. It creates this accountability that you can't hide. That you are accountable to the company, and it's not just one person coming down on somebody. It's that, hey, look, we're a team here. We all need to perform. We all need to work hard. And if you're not, like, people will know that. And so it creates this. Self-regulating. It's a self-regulating system where it says, hey, look, we're going to all from the top down say, like, hey, how are we doing? How are we performing as a company, and how's each function performing? So it really does help self-regulate versus a lot of times what we saw, what would happen at companies is like somebody's not performing. Number one, they don't know they're not performing. Okay. So because there isn't a conversation till the end of the year, or there isn't a conversation till the quarter. And so the other one is other people don't know they're not performing. So when you have it transparent, you say, hey, people know you're not performing. You know you're not performing. You have an opportunity to go to other people and say, what can I do different? What can I do better? And it gives everybody an opportunity. So they're never caught off guard by their poor performance, or it may not be a lack of effort. It may just be a lack of, hey, I don't know how to do this, or I need help with this. And so it really does help self-regulate and hold everybody accountable.
Yeah.
Let me kind of follow in there, because it really is a beautiful aspect. I've seen other companies that do something similar, but what I'm hearing from you is a way for each person to know what they're supposed to be doing and the goals they're going for, and for them to reach out and say, hey, I need help. I'm off track. And they are able to take ownership of that at a much faster pace than a year review or quarter review, or maybe even waiting to the next time you guys have a conversation. They can go to anyone and say, hey, can we work together on this? And can you help me? That is really a beautiful aspect to teamwork. And which is one of the core values you guys have, right?
It is.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that you guys do that's similar to that, where in the transparency vein, where everyone's available to or aware of what everyone else does and stands for?
I mean, we have an accountability chart. Like Charlie said, military background. I was in the Marine Corps for 7 years, so I'm very familiar with the term chain of command. I mean, a lot of people are, but the thing that I liked about the accountability chart was it just felt different than a chain of command. It's not, I mean, we have it, everyone knows it. And although it may look somewhat like a chain of command, it really, it makes people feel like this is more of like my lines of communication. This is the web of how things work together in this company. It's not, if I don't do my job, this is who gets on to me, and I would say another result similar to what you said about, people asking for help, that, everyone knows that measurable, the number that you have or the numbers that you have, that is the goal. That's calculated. That's reverse calculated from what we are trying to accomplish for the year. And so that's the job that needs to happen. That's the number that needs to be hit. And if someone isn't hitting it, the first reaction is not, well, they're not doing their job. It's, hey, we're not able to get this done. What do you need? Like, because the goalposts, we won't change those. We're not going to move the field goalposts. We're going to figure out what tool do you not have in order to hit that number. That's the conversation that happens, instead of, well, why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? Hey, there's something that we may not know. So you see this people bringing things up. They know that they're not going to get in trouble for not doing something. It's like, hey, I need something else to help me do this. That's been one of my favorite aspects of it.
We also create an opportunity for people to discuss. We call it IDS, identify, discuss, and solve problems. And so we really open the floor up to anybody and everybody that wants to. If there is an issue, let's discuss the issue and let's solve the issue. And so it's really, the culture here is very open culture, which allows people to be able to voice and share concerns or bring up issues. And the other thing that we do that's transparent is we're pretty transparent on our financials. So people know how we're doing as a company at any point in time. which is
Right.
which is not necessarily always the norm.
No.
You mentioned transparency more than half a dozen times. And I'm smiling because I know how important it is for companies that are growing fast, but your peers out there in the marketplace, I know you're kind of in some other peer groups. They're not as transparent as you are. Would you agree to that?
Yeah, I would say that's probably true. I think that we have a unique transparency in it can be a double-edged sword at times, but that it's hard for people to know how we're to get motivated unless they know how we're doing. And if we just keep everything behind a black curtain on oh yeah, we're doing fine. Because people want to know, am I going to do well this year? Am I going to make what I think I'm going to make? Is that all, how are we doing? And if they can see real numbers, that it gives a confidence. Hey, look, you guys are moving the needle. We're at where we need to be this quarter. Here's what we need to do the next quarter. And here's on a, day at any point, and there's a bill, there's a TV screen up that basically shows exactly at any point in time where we are and how we're doing. So it's a lot of information to share. It can, at times we've wrestled with sharing that much information because, it can create conversations but the good outweighs the bad is what we've figured out, that it really does motivate and align people. They feel good about it. They feel like they know how we're doing and how we're performing as a company.
Wow, that's a pretty interesting idea, to be able to share the core metrics of a company in a big screen on the monitor so that everyone can see it. I've seen this happen with many companies that are running fast-paced organizations, and they want everyone to be tuned in to exactly what's going on at the moment. And that gives everyone a little bit of an incentive to see where they are and how their goals are kind of tied to some of the bigger metrics inside the company. So if you were able to put up the metrics that really drove the team forward and able to share that, everyone would be able to know where you were at the moment, not waiting for a status update or not waiting for the end of the month or end of a quarter. At the moment. Think about the power of that. Now back to the interview. If one of the core principles of team alignment is getting people to feel ownership, which is a big part of what I talk about on stages and I share with my clients, transparency is so important, and giving them visibility into how we're doing, good and bad, is part of that. Let them take ownership of the bad. If you're stressed out about it, everyone else can be a little bit stressed, but you can turn that into a positive kind of driver, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yes.
You can say, look, we're a little bit behind this quarter. Let's get a few more deals pushed through.
I think that's super well said, that you can see on the board that this quarter we're not performing like we need to. So what do we need to do to change it? Everybody's aware of it. Nobody's caught off guard by it. So
I'm going to wrap this up with something we kind of started before we cut the camera on today. Today is Friday when we record this, and a lot of cultures and businesses take it a little bit easier on Friday. You mentioned to me that we have the sense enough to let's push harder on Friday. Let's get some big deals done. And that's part of the culture, that everyone's taking ownership. Everyone wants to keep pushing, and probably having that TV screen of metrics helps you do that. Would you agree?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's like in any business, it's super important to have a competitive advantage, and so we are looking for that at any moment, and in our industry, it is pretty typical, for Fridays to be a little slower. And so really, I mean, we see that as an opportunity. We see holidays as an opportunity. And that's what's special about it, is the culture here makes people feel like they're not having to work on Friday. They want to accomplish the goals. It's not, we're not telling them that they have to, but yeah, Fridays, and lucky for us, we have had success on Fridays. So, all of it doesn't fall on deaf ears. But we've had a lot of success on Fridays, and everyone around here knows it. People hate, a lot of people will hate the thing I say, but I say, thank God it's Friday, one day closer to Monday, So
let me show you something over here. I've got Sometimes I hand these out. I know I just went out of the screen. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got them on coffee mugs. I got them in the back of my computer, but I talk about the importance of having a culture where people don't dread going to work on Monday. They actually get energy from it. And I love Mondays because I'm an entrepreneur. It's a chance for me to move my goals forward, but I want my employees to love Mondays too.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate you guys being here, sharing your story and journey about Case Energy Partners, and the phenomenal growth you guys is just really impeccable. I admire it, and the strength you guys have as leaders. I appreciate you sharing that here on the podcast. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Wow, what a powerful interview. I really didn't expect for us to talk so much about the importance of transparency inside this company and about how ownership is really necessary to get complete buy-in with the team. But I'm not surprised because of all the interviews I've done and all the conversation I've had and the clients I've worked with, those core elements of transparency and ownership are very, very important and part of the core principles of growth of a fast-growing company. So make sure you download the worksheet of all 12 principles. Just go to genehammett.com/worksheet and you can download that now. I'm going to point you to a couple episodes that will be exactly pinpoint exactly where you can go in to find more depth around those principles. Now, I'd love to invite you to share this episode with someone that really would appreciate to grow fast. If you are getting a lot of value out of this, make sure you talk about it, because I'm not asking you to pay anything for this free content, but I am asking you to share it with someone that would appreciate it. As always, lead with courage, and I'll see you next time.